All right, everybody, welcome back to the Sean Kelly Show. And I'm going to provide y'all with some information that a lot of you people probably don't know, especially some of the voters out there. Um, since January of 2021, under the Biden Harris administration, the State Department has partially or fully evacuated 11 United States embassies um, throughout the world. Um, he is actually the leading president in the number of evacuations of embassies under a presidential term. Barack Obama is actually the second most embassy evacuations. Um, President Trump, over his term, he had 3 partial evacuations in his 4 years. Biden and Harris had 11 partially or fully evacuated embassies. So just take a minute and think about that. If you have to evacuate embassies, what does that tell the American people? Which is one reason why a lot of people probably don't know this information, is because it is a big sign of weakness. If we have embassies in another country and we have to evacuate rather than stand our ground and protect the embassy, which is there to protect foreign relations, protect Americans who may be over there doing work or this, that, and the other, it's just a complete sign of weakness. So we're going to go through the list here. Burma, 2021. State Department ordered its first embassy evacuation during the 2-month-old Biden-Harris administration. They ordered non-essential diplomatic personnel and all personnel family members to evacuate. Let's see here. That was due to a series of improvised explosive devices that were detonated within a mile of the US Embassy. All right. Chad, 2021. U.S. Embassy in Chad issued a statement that the reported death of the Chadian president likely would result in unrest and ordered staff to shelter in place. Predicted that no evacuation would be necessary, but the following November, the State Department ordered an evacuation. Afghanistan, 2021. The U.S. was going to suspend all military operations in Afghanistan. Was met with chaos inside the war-torn country. The telegraphed U.S. evacuation gave antagonists, including the Taliban and other fundamentalist radical Muslim groups, time to prepare a triumphant march through Afghanistan's capital, Kabul. 13 American service members died in a terrorist bombing outside the airport during the final evacuation on August 26, 2021, along with over 150 Afghan civilians. Biden promised to retaliate for the terrorist attack, but did not. 2021 in Ethiopia, threats from rebel forces in Ethiopia's civil war, known as the Tigray War, led the State Department in November 21 to create a special task force to evacuate. Ukraine, 2022. State Department issued do not travel notifications to American citizens for Ukraine. It also closed the U.S. Embassy in Kyiv on February the 14th, evacuating the staff. Belarus, 2022. 4 days after Russia's invasion of Ukraine on February 24th, 2022, largely using Belarus' border with Ukraine as a staging ground, State Department ordered Americans to evacuate Belarus and closed the embassy in Minsk. Russia, 2022. On the same day as its Belarus announcement, the State Department issued an authorized departure for non-emergency employees and family members. Unlike the U.S. Embassy in Minsk, the U.S. Embassy in Moscow is still open and has issued warnings to the Russian government concerning threats of terrorism. So that would be one of the partial evacuations. Nigeria, 2022. Ordered departure for non-emergency U.S. government employees and family members in Nigerian capital of Abuja. I think I said that right. For an elevated risk of terror attacks. In May of 2023, unknown attackers fired on the American convoy, killing 4, including 2 staffers at the U.S. consulate. The 2 staffers from the U.S. mission to Nigeria also were kidnapped, and it appears that the State Department chose not to report the kidnapping to the media or the public. According to State Department statements to CNN and the department's official website, the 2 hostages weren't mentioned until they were rescued 2 days later. Once again, Biden and Harris are not transparent. They hide facts from the American people to make themselves look better. Sudan, 2023. Following an April 18th, 2023 attack on the American convoy in Sudan, the situation at the U.S. Embassy there deteriorated rapidly. The DoD deployed over 100 special operation forces to escort diplomatic staff and their families, as well as Marine Corps detachment assigned to guard the embassy. 2 Americans were killed in terrorist attacks in the Sudanese Civil War before the other Americans were evacuated successfully. Niger, 2023. State Department issued an order departments to non-emergency U.S. government personnel and their families. The department coordinated evacuation of staff via military flights. Although violent demonstrations had occurred for 2 years near the U.S. Embassy without sparking departure directives, violent attacks on the nearby French Embassy and an attempted coup led by the State Department to issue the ordered departures. And most recently in Haiti in 2024, Biden's last presidential campaign, he paid special attention to Haiti, promising in 2019 that he would press for dialogue to prevent future violence and instability. Haiti has fallen into further disarray as prison gangs broke out and laid waste to the Caribbean nation. U.S. embassies elsewhere were evacuated only once during the Biden administration, with the State Department ordered the partial authorized departure or ordered departure evacuation of U.S. Embassy in Port-au-Prince 4 times in 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024. With Haiti's prime minister under U.S. protection in Puerto Rico, a gang leader and cannibal nicknamed Barbecue has taken leadership over the country. And then on March 10th, non-essential embassy staff were airlifted out by the Marine Corps. Hundreds of Americans remain trapped in Haiti as the situation deteriorates further, but the Biden administration hasn't mentioned Americans trapped on the island or announced any plans for their rescue. It has announced, however, that the U.S. will provide support for the United Nations mission based in Kenya. The world stage doesn't appear to be calming down anytime soon. Over 110 armed conflicts are in progress around the globe, and over 30 consist of civil wars and coups that flared up in the past 4 years. All right. Simon Hankinson, a senior research fellow in the Border Security and Immigration Center argues that many of these evacuations of U.S. embassies were stoked by weakness and indecision. He stated, quote, "World events are unpredictable and no U.S. administration can be blamed for each and every wild card coup in Africa or blowout in the Middle East," Hankinson said. But he also added that the Biden administration has projected weakness and indecision from the beginning to both allies and enemies. From the botched Afghanistan pullout, which cost unnecessary American lives, and the left equipment and people in the lurch, to the current attempt to balance domestic political constituencies with bipartisan historical support of Israel. The pattern is one of hedging and hoping. So yeah, obviously the Biden-Harris administration has a lot of skeletons in their closet that hasn't quite come out into the mainstream media yet. Just these simple facts and 11 embassy evacuations just goes to prove how weak and spineless and careless that Biden and Harris have been over the last 4 years, leading to the deaths of countless U.S. civilians, U.S. military personnel, aiding and abetting the Taliban by leaving them with equipment, then turning around and supposedly mistakenly sending $293 million to the Taliban to aid them in their war. It's sad and it's pathetic and it's ridiculous, especially as a veteran, hearing about the lack of strength, courage, determination, the lack of Biden and Harris putting their foot down and pushing back to secure these embassies, to secure our presence in these other countries. It makes us look like a bunch of weak individuals which are underneath the weakest of the weak government, all because Trump and Harris are both weak and incompetent and do not care about the American people or the American military people on the ground or anything else. So, like I said, you can look it up for yourself. It's under the www.dailysignal.com. Search for the record for most embassy evacuations, and the article will pull right up. The article is from March 18th of 2024, written by Tony Kennett. So if you don't believe me, go check it out and read it for yourself. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more information and great content from the Sean Kelly Show. Have a good evening.